Right in the early stages, she told me she wanted children. And so I answered that question and said, well, I don't particularly want children, but if we're together, I'll be very happy to have children together. So that was a commitment that I made. So there was no way I would ever go back on that, because she spent 6 years of her life with me, expecting that if we, we're really committed totally to each other, that she'd want that we would have children. She wants the child to be a replica of me, which I think is, well, it's quite charming, but at the same time, I just want a child that's, that's happy and that's well adjusted and so on. But she wants a replica of me. I think that's so she's got a mini me for her old age. We were together, and we were in bed together, and she gave me a present in the morning that she'd wrapped up the night before, and I got this parcel, just rattled it, which is a game we always play just to see what was in it, and heard something like a stick or something rattling around. Opened it up, and it was a pregnancy test with a blue line on it. Well, I've got 5 children, so I didn't really need another child to bring into the world, but I'm absolutely delighted for Modesta, and so because I'm delighted for Modesta, I'm delighted for me. So it's a sort of I wouldn't have chosen to have another child, but I'd always said I would if Modesta wanted one, and she did. And so, yeah, so I mean, it's wonderful news, and I'm sure I'll really enjoy it. So, I think it'll be great having another baby to get up in the middle of the night, listen to the screams, do the nappy changes and the feeds. Last week of March, first week of April. And a boy, and he's very active already. Even at this young age, he's kicking Modesta quite prolifically. We've talked about names, but we've got nothing really that's even a firm proposal. Well, the pregnancy doesn't affect the time apart, but of course COVID does. So she's now trapped in France for a month, I'm trapped here. So that's another month we don't get to see each other at all. So yeah, it's very, very difficult. A distance relationship is really tough. She sends me the videos and photographs of of when she does the imaging, when she has the scan. And we had a 3D scan the other day, which is amazing because it actually shows all the baby's detail and features, which is quite a unique thing to see. The baby will be born in the UK, and hopefully Modesta will be coming to live in the UK in December. Oh, my normal home in Staffordshire, that's home. I think they're all quite excited, although, my eldest daughter's 41, so, it probably seems, I'm sure it seems a little bit strange that Dad's having yet another baby before they've had theirs, but, so I'm sure that seems a bit strange, but they're all very happy. I think I was always quite children ready for fatherhood anyway, so I don't know that age makes much difference to that. I've always been busy. I'm just as busy now as I was then, so will I be more chilled? I think I was always quite chilled, but I think the biggest pressure of being a parent, I think, is making sure that your child grows up with good values, good ethics, good morality, with a humanitarian attitude, and just grows up to be a thoroughly decent human being. And that's worrying always, because I think it doesn't matter how well you bring your child up, there is a danger that sooner or later they go the wrong way. So, that's always a worry. I'm not too worried about my roots being instilled in the child. What I am worried about is values. And for values, you do need some degree of roots, but it's more really a question of making certain that the child from an early age understands that they're living in a very privileged existence, that most people's lives are not like this, and to just teach those ethical, moral, and humanitarian values. And there's lots of ways of achieving that. And that process of teaching will start as soon as the child can understand anything, maybe when they're 3 or 4. I'll start talking to them about drugs, the evil of drugs in society, start talking about being a kind and generous person, and really just try to instill the values at a very, very young age, almost a brainwashing process to make sure that real values are instilled at a very young age. I don't know, you'd have to ask them. I would say that they're very proud of me, very proud of my values, proud of the way I've brought them up, realise that I did my best to give them time, give them quality time, but in spite of the fact that I was flat out trying to build an empire. So I think, I mean, they certainly know I've got lots of faults. You know, there's no mistaking those, so they'd identify my faults. But fortunately, they would think that my faults are massively smaller than my attributes. So they'd be overall very positive about me. Oh, a wonderful mother, very affectionate, very loving, with great values. We're teaching Leo values all the time, you know, and Modesta has great values that she has to live by. She has values that she imposes upon me, although most of those values I've got fairly strong anyway, but she doesn't like me being in the least bit flirty with anybody. So, you know, she's quite strict in what she expects of me, but also very strict in what she expects of herself. Well, sons and daughters, I mean, children are very different to each other, but I think sons and daughters are very different, although you can have that debate with other parents. I mean, my girls were so easy, my boys not. But then other parents will say, you know, the boys are like angels and the girls are dreadful. So it's all just luck of the draw, isn't it? And, you know, you get your child and then you do the best to make them into the best human being they can be. I don't actually, not overtly, and I say overtly, I don't overtly impose any expectations on my children other than values. I don't expect them to succeed, and I just want them to work hard and have good values. I don't want them to be rich, famous, or anything else. If that's what they want, I'll be fully supportive. But I don't ever overtly impose those values. Maybe they're automatically imposed because of what I've achieved in life and who I am. But I try and move away from that so that they don't feel any pressure or stress to be particularly successful. But I'm sure they probably do. Yeah, all my children, they all really get on well with each other. Leo included, who's not my child, he gets on well with all his siblings. And yeah, I'm lucky really, because it's one big happy family, other than the illness issues that we've got within the children. But other than that, I'm very lucky because they are all good human beings, and they all get on really well with each other. The favourite thing about a newborn baby? Well, I can tell you the least favourite things. It's definitely the screaming and the squawking. I'm not a great fan of crying children, and I've managed to train my children to stop crying at quite an early age, and teach them to speak. You know, as soon as they can speak, that teach them to request what they want rather than cry for it. So that's the least favourite. I mean, I don't like smelly nappies. I'm not good with those at all. So I will do them, but I have a peg on my nose or tissue stuffed up my nose to remove the odours. I do look a comical sight when I'm changing a nappy. So they're least enjoyable things. I think the enjoyable things is when the baby starts developing a character, and when you start seeing them smile, and of course those first words, the first time that it managed to stand on the feet and toddle. You know, there's all those magical moments that any parent that's had a child knows, you know, and understands.